Just after their dinner date, Afam decided to head home when he noticed that Nkechi was badly stained. Her monthly visitor had arrived early that month. Nkechi could not believe what was happening to her. Afam, with his face filled with disgust, asked why she had to be so dirty, loudly enough for everyone around to hear, and then walked away from her without caring how she would get home in her current state. People began staring and pointing at her, whispering amongst themselves as they watched Afam walk away. Nkechi could not withstand the shame, so she ran quickly to the restroom. On her way, she almost bumped into a young woman who was exiting, but the tension made it difficult for her to even apologize. Nkechi arrived at the restroom and quickly locked herself in one of the stalls, her heart racing as she replayed what had just happened. This was the third time Afam had embarrassed her in public. The last time was at his friend's birthday dinner when she finished the food she was served. Afam had called her a hungry goat in front of his friends, who all laughed mockingly. For years, Nkechi had endured being put down by Afam. Even though she knew leaving him was the best decision, her heart still beat for him, making it difficult to walk away. How will I survive without him? Who will love me if I ever leave? These unspoken questions kept her bound in a loveless and abusive relationship for over 7 years. Standing in the restroom, tears welling up in her eyes, she tried to wipe the stains off her dress with some tissue. Her entire body felt soiled, and as she pondered what to do about her ruined dress, she noticed a scarf in the corner. Just as she reached for it, she caught sight of something moving inside the toilet. Nkechi froze, unable to believe her eyes. It was a premature baby, abandoned inside. Its tiny limbs were still moving. Shocked, Nkechi quickly picked up the baby and ran out of the restroom, completely disregarding her stained dress. Everyone stared as she emerged, wondering what had happened. With her dress soaked in blood and a premature baby in her arms, onlookers assumed the worst. Some whispered that she had tried to have an abortion and was left with a premature baby. Accusations flew about how wicked she must be. But Nkechi didn't care about the stares or whispers. All she could think about was saving the baby's life. She rushed to the hospital, and the baby was still alive. The doctors and nurses quickly took charge, doing everything possible to stabilize the child. After hours of treatment, they informed Nkechi that the baby was now stable. The doctors asked her how she had found the baby, and Nkechi narrated the entire story. They were stunned that the baby had survived and informed her that the baby was approximately 5 months old and might develop several birth defects. They also explained that the baby would have to remain in the hospital for close observation. Despite the grim prognosis, Nkechi urged the doctors to do everything to keep the child alive. When Nkechi returned home that evening, Afam was waiting outside her house. "Where have you been?" he yelled angrily. Nkechi explained how she had found the baby in the toilet and rushed it to the hospital. Afam's response was accusatory. "So you think I'm dumb? You had a failed abortion and now you're lying to me about finding the baby in a restaurant toilet. Do I look like a child to you?" He accused her of being promiscuous, claiming she had been sleeping around with men while pretending to be a virgin. Something snapped in Nkechi. She had endured Afam's insults for far too long, but now, after everything she had just gone through, she was ready to stand up for herself. "I'm done," she whispered, her voice trembling but firm. "I'm done with you, Afam," she repeated, looking him in the eyes without flinching. Afam was shocked at her defiance. "You can't survive without me," he sneered, warning her never to come near him again before driving off. Nkechi, however, felt a deep sense of relief. For the first time in 7 years, she felt free. In the weeks that followed, Nkechi visited the hospital regularly to check on the baby. To everyone's amazement, the baby began to thrive against all odds. The doctors eventually asked if Nkechi would consider adopting the baby, as no one had come forward to claim her. Nkechi knew in her heart that she had already made the decision to care for the child if no one else would. Months later, Nkechi brought the baby, now named Nina, home. Afam, meanwhile, was bitter and confused. He had expected Nkechi to come begging, but she never did. One day, unable to accept her silence, he showed up at her house, demanding everything he had ever bought for her. Shocked but unshaken, Nkechi calmly handed over a box containing all the items from their 7 years together. As he left, he mocked her, saying, "No man will ever marry you with this bastard child." Nkechi closed the door behind him, holding Nina close. She knew she had made the right decision. Over time, Nina grew into a happy and healthy child, and Nkechi found immense joy in being her mother. However, her journey wasn't without challenges. Many men lost interest in her upon discovering she had an adopted child, and her mother frequently urged her to prioritize finding a husband over raising Nina. But Nkechi was unwavering in her decision to stand by Nina. One day, while shopping for groceries, Nkechi met Chinedu, a kind man who lived nearby. Chinedu quickly became a friend and introduced her to his family. It was during one of their encounters that Nkechi and Nina encountered Chinedu's niece, who looked uncannily like Nina. Shocked, Nkechi and Chinedu began piecing together the story, eventually discovering that Nina and the girl, Kayameka, were twins separated at birth. A DNA test confirmed the truth. The twins bonded quickly, and Chinedu and Nkechi grew closer as well. Chinedu introduced Nkechi to his friend Hugo, who admired her strength and resilience. Over time, Hugo and Nkechi fell deeply in love, and he proposed to her in a beautiful ceremony. On the day of their engagement party, Nkechi's past came full circle when Afam, now Hugo's personal assistant, appeared at the event. He was stunned to see the woman he had belittled thriving and marrying his boss. But Nkechi was unbothered. She had moved on from her painful past and found love, joy, and a new beginning with Hugo and her 2 daughters. Nkechi's story was one of resilience and redemption, a testament to the power of courage and love in overcoming adversity. As Nina and Kayameka grew up together, they not only shared an inseparable bond but also inspired Nkechi to start a foundation for abandoned children. Naming it Second Chances, the organization aimed to provide shelter, healthcare, and hope to abandoned infants and struggling mothers. Nkechi's journey gave her an unwavering resolve to make sure no child had to endure the pain of rejection. The foundation thrived, attracting donors and volunteers who were moved by Nkechi's story. Through this initiative, Nkechi met countless women who shared similar struggles, and she became a source of strength and guidance for them. Her efforts brought her into the spotlight, and she was invited to speak at various events and conferences. Each time, she spoke passionately about her experience and the importance of compassion, resilience, and self-love. Despite her growing influence, Nkechi remained grounded, dedicating her free time to Nina and Kayameka. Their laughter filled her home with joy, and every milestone they achieved reinforced her belief that love and perseverance could truly transform lives. Hugo, now her husband, was a constant source of support. Together, they worked tirelessly to expand Second Chances, and their shared vision strengthened their bond. Years later, Nkechi's story became the subject of a documentary that captured her journey from heartbreak to hope. The documentary not only celebrated her achievements but also highlighted the societal challenges women faced in overcoming stigma and abuse. Nkechi's resilience resonated with audiences worldwide, and she became an advocate for women's rights, championing causes close to her heart. In the end, Nkechi's life was a testament to the transformative power of love, love for oneself, love for others, and the courage to embrace second chances. Her journey inspired countless people to believe that even in the darkest moments, there is always a glimmer of hope and the possibility of a brighter tomorrow.